Hello everyone, it's the Cowboy here. Welcome to another edition of Bitcoin and Ethereum technical analysis, and let's just jump right in. It's been a couple of weeks, right? Again, a couple of Saturdays ago. This is recorded on Friday. I might be able to put it up tonight, or if not tomorrow. But let's jump right in. We don't have a lot happening since last time we talked. We're still in kind of this consolidation period. We've kind of stopped at this level of 42K that we've identified here, I think about 4 weeks ago, as a pretty decent level of a pullback. And since then, Bitcoin has been kind of, in a side range. What I'm watching in here, I'm watching a time analysis of this wave 2 here versus this wave 4, and I want to see how far we're traveling still. So if this is wave 2 of a larger degree, this is a second one, and I'm comparing this fourth wave with this wave second. So in terms of time, we've passed a little bit over 100%, and then 1618 comes back in here towards the middle of February. So we'll see if the market kind of comes back in here and starts to do this kind of C wave, maybe a D and an E before it advances higher. But it remains a very real possibility because of the way this kind of price action is shaping up. Now, I got to be honest here and tell you that we have taken along with our team on the Pro Room based on a little bit of a different count. That's the blue count I'll show you in a second. But just because I think there's some things in there that are not really matching for a triangle, so I'm willing to entertain the possibility of a long. Now, this wave 4 here is kind of short, and it doesn't really, even in terms of the overall look, this was a zigzag. This is another a zigzag or a double zigzag in here, so it's kind of in the same direction. You would like the fourth wave to have a little bit of an alternation with the second wave. So remains to be seen. But overall, we're looking still, no matter from which levels, as long as we remain above this 28.8, I think there's a big chance that we're going to break up higher in this fifth wave and then move here towards possibly 60,000 before we possibly complete a third wave primary, then a pullback and fourth, and then a continuation higher. So I remain bullish on Bitcoin. You can see how the moves are being bought from the downside, and it trades with a pretty good bid on here. Let me take you to the blue count and I'll show you what I mean. So this is, instead of that whole thing being an overall triangle, I can look at this as being a complete correction, where I'm looking at this as a W, X, Y. You have another X and another small Z in here. So this is a triple correction followed by an impulse here in a wave 1, a pullback in a second straight into the 618, which is something that I love to see for a second wave. So that would be 1, that would be 2. Now we're doing another wave 1, which is impulsive in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a possible fifth to complete 1, pull back in second, and then continue to rally higher, right? So based on this scenario, we have taken along, and as long as we remain above this 32.5 levels, I think this trade has got some potential. But if we're starting to turn and we're breaking below this 36, actually 35, I might just drop this trade and then look to reinitiate in case the market has other thoughts, just because of this kind of triangle formation here that's still kind of in the back of my head in terms of distance traveled over there in the fourth wave. So that's pretty much it. I mean, overall, we're still remaining bullish on Bitcoin. If you go and look at the MAs, it's a very nice reaction, and we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago from the 50-day moving average. The 200-day continues to be bullish. It's at 17,872 right now, so that's a pretty good level of support in case this market goes crazy and wants to come down. But for right now, the 50, it's actually pointing higher. You can see how 21-day moving average is also kind of coiling up, kind of following the price. So I remain bullish, and I continue to look higher. My fear was that this correction is not enough yet to correct this whole pattern. But I'm not going to argue with the market if it continues to act bullish, because if you look, a few years back in 2017, there were situations like this where that was just a small blip, and I can quickly take you and show you how that looked. So even though you had this kind of 190% or 200% rise in price on here, right? You could look at this 130, 127, and as the market kind of corrected a little bit, right, then it pushed back up higher, corrected a little bit, and then pushed back up higher. So this could be one of those instances where this is what we're getting, and we're actually breaking much, much higher in here, and then again, target for 56, 55, 60,000 for right now, and then we'll see from there on. In terms of the candlestick patterns on here, this is the daily. So you have an engulfing. Hold on a second. Let me just tell my alarm here to to stop. Hey Google, stop. All right, sorry. So you can see you have a an engulfing a bullish candle right here, which is a pretty nice and bullish signal. But then you've had this rejection that was on those Elon Musk news, and then the market kind of turned back, and now we're kind of reattacking these levels. It's very important that we take them, because if you go up on the monthly chart that just kind of closed a few days back, you can see that candle is looks almost like a rejection candle, right? And it's imperative that we are taking the high of that candle and continue to move in the month of February, even if we're going to go sideways, let's say for a few more days, that we're going to take that and close the month of February in a positive manner, so we can continue to move bullishly to the upside. And I was mentioning this into my daily updates to the members into the room, into our program, that there is a chance that even if we squeeze higher, if we create another one of those rejection candles, that's telling us that the market is kind of getting tired, and there is heavy resistance up there that people are going to try to push that back. So it's important to me how we continue to close. I like candles that look like that, because those are giving us even the inside candles like this are pretty good, because they're giving us a bullish tilt to the overall market. So always keep an eye on the monthly charts, and then dive down to the weekly and see how you close. You can see how there's a couple of rejections here. You have this kind of inside body, but the market kind of turns, and it's just Friday, so hopefully we'll push back up here and try to close the week on a bullish manner. So that's what I have for you in Bitcoin. Let's jump over to Ethereum and see what this guy is doing. And I just stumbled across the MAs on here. So all of them, just like I presented a couple of weeks ago, they continue to push higher. We were just slightly worried of this consolidation in here and a possibility of a move back lower to the 55, but the market continued to move higher. So that's why it's important to trade with the uptrend, because you're putting your the odds in your favor to continue to make gains, and the moving averages are telling you that the trend is up, and things that are coming back towards some kind of a value, they're going to get bought. So Ethereum remains in an uptrend. I look higher. Our targets for this year are about $4,000, and we'll see how quickly those will get reached. But for right now, we break up. Similar story here on the candlesticks chart. You can see how with slight delay from Bitcoin we have taken, and we are making new all-time highs in here. So this was, and I talked about this, that the market could linger around this level for a few weeks, and we've done 1, 2, 3 weeks before we actually broke out of there. And this is a pretty good solid break, and if we continue to maintain the momentum and not close below this line, I think this has a potential to continue higher. Even if you come back and retest it, that's going to be a pretty good support, and then continue to push higher here towards 4K, 7K. Eventually we will get to 10K in Ethereum. All right, this is all a matter of speaking kind of fundamentally, just the overall adaptation of the whole crypto market and wallets and interest. So it's just the curve of adoption, right, that happens in the cryptos. And let's jump really quickly to our count on here. And I have, this is a blue count that I'm kind of watching with my team up on the pro room, and we were targeting this 100% equality with this wave one. So it's just a little bit of an internal move, and I kind of looked at this because of this triangle formation that I have on here, and I try to kind of square this up with some lower counts to allow me to to look higher here in the fifth, possible of a third. So the whole premise started from the idea that this whole move in here looks like a triangle, and so if it's a triangle in an uptrend, it's got to be a fourth wave. And then I kind of work backwards from there to find out how some of the other subdivisions are, and you can see how I'm looking at this, right? A second wave in here, major in the March of 2020, so last year, and then you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 sharp, 4 and 5, right, to complete this third. So that's pretty clean. You get a fourth in a triangle that's matching the second in here, and now we're pushing up higher in this fifth. So there is a chance that we might hit some resistance in Ethereum near term, possibly pull back in this fourth, match this back in here, then go back up higher here in this fifth of third, right? And then we're going to get another fourth. So the trend remains higher, and you can see as it is on the moving averages, I'm looking to take any advantage to either add to my original position or to initiate good trades on there. But for right now, this is kind of what I'm looking at, and I think this one is pretty clean as well, although a little bit different subdivisions. I look at this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, another 1, 2 in here. When I count it like that, I'm looking, and the places where I put my corrections is what I notice most of the sideways action, right? Because those are the places where you actually have more of a corrective move. And as long as you're in an uptrend, it's easier to just place that as a second wave and continue to let this market, develop. When you start to put fourth waves, you're kind of blocking yourself from letting this market, run as much as possible. So, we can adjust. This is not a big deal, but I think based on this being the largest correction of the whole trend, that this is, and I have nothing here for a smaller second. I think that's my second, either up into these levels or here. And then, this could be a third and a fourth and a fifth. That's very possible. But then again, my third wave is just fairly small compared with this first. So, and then you're going to get a smaller fifth, which is fine, but we'll play it, kind of one tune at a time and look at it every day into our program there, where we digest all these counts. All right, let's take a look next at some rotations on here. And you know what? Actually, since I'm over on Ethereum, and I'm on the weekly charts, let me show you, a little bit how the RSI looks on here. So this is the weekly chart, and you can see how we've, hit, pretty hot zones in here where you see the red and the extreme. Actually, the blue is quite extreme because it's over 90. And, then you have this pink in here that's, kind of above 70 into the RSI. So it's still, highly, elevated in here, but not extreme. So, if you watch this chart, you just kind of see what happened in previous instances where the RSI started to get quite hot. But then we kind of started to cool off a little bit, and now we're picking, a little bit of steam in here, and we're back at about 71.70, 71.65 RSI at this point. And let me show you here. That's on a daily chart. So let me go on a weekly. So there you go. On the weekly chart, it's actually pretty hot. So we're at about 91.40 in the RSI right now. You don't see this on the chart because it's kind of here to the left. But it didn't matter much for Ethereum because we were very hot in here. We cooled off a little bit, started to get into, 80, 85, and then now we're back to being hot. You can see, even from previous moves in here, that's why it's important to watch the RSI, but do not think that just because it's a 90, that means that the market needs to correct. You can see here previous instances where the market just rallied. From 140 to 350, right? So 300% rise into price, again from 22 here to 52. So this can continue to shoot higher quite aggressively. And let me just kind of look at how Bitcoin looks on this as well, BTC USD. And I'm going to go to Crypto Watch. And this is how Bitcoin looks, right? This is on the weekly. This is 200-week moving average, which is right now at about 8,600. So that's a pretty good indication of the bull market that we're in. And I'll continue to watch this as the main indicator on the larger time frames. But right here, you can see how we were pretty hot in here. I talked about this before. And the market is a little bit different from the Ethereum. When Bitcoin reaches these levels, it kind of tends to pull back. So small pullback back in here. This was the major decline, from 2017. And now we're kind of, cooled off a little bit here into the yellow, back into pink, and we'll see if we're pushing back up higher and how hot we're going to get. So that's on the weekly. And then on the daily, we're looking pretty good, right? So we cooled off all this, heavy buying and hot RSI in here. We're back to black and possibly moving back up higher. All right, let me take a look at the RRGs in here. So this is the relative rotation graphs, and this is a 1 month chart. And this is a comparison of strength against the dollar index, against the US dollar. As you can see, these are my leading quadrants right here, where both the momentum and the ratio here, it's it's higher, right? It's positive. And for right now, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are leading. Actually, Ethereum is leading a little bit better. It's got more of a momentum, and Bitcoin is lagging just slightly. But they both continue to beat the US dollar on the monthly charts. And then let's look at the weekly on here and see kind of how they perform against each other. Bitcoin has been losing here for the past few weeks. In here you have 1, 2, 3, about 4 weeks, and Ethereum is just kind of been straight up. So but still pretty positive. So they're both looking into the same direction. They have a very high correlation. And then if you go back on the daily, they were both starting to lag the US dollar here for the past few days. Let me just kind of make this tails a little bit longer so you can see kind of where we come from, right? We were leading, then we started to lose against the US dollar. And if you're watching the US dollar index, that's been gaining here for the past couple of weeks. So that was reflected here into the crypto markets as well. And right now we're kind of picking up momentum and shooting back up higher. So you can see in here the charts as well as they kind of present themselves here. So this is very important. This is actually tells you that there is a lot of strength in here from the market. The moment you come from leading into weakening and then you go back into leading, that tells you a lot of bullishness on there. So these are them against each other and against the dollar index. And now I'll show you what happens with just Ethereum against the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin here in the center is the, it's our benchmark, and right here Ethereum is kind of rotates around it, right? So this is how you're moving from alts to Bitcoin and so on and so forth. If you're considering Ethereum, the father of alts or something. But we caught a lot of momentum in here ever since we started to improve. And now we got into the leading quadrant, which is the green one. So right now Ethereum leads Bitcoin. And although it points a little bit lower, which means Bitcoin might catch up a little bit, it still tells us that, especially on the monthly charts, that there is still a lot of room to go in here with an outperformance in Ethereum versus Bitcoin based on the monthly charts. If you come down here to the weekly, you can see kind of where we were and how Ethereum came, and now we're leading on the weekly charts as well. So this is kind of where we are, and this is kind of how we traveled, right? Just kind of look at that. And now we're leaning, pretty good in here. We just enter into it, but we're pointing up, which means that, we got relative strength in here, and we've got, nice momentum in Ethereum, and it's something that it's important to keep an eye on. And then let me go here to the daily and see how that looks on the daily charts. And on here, actually, Ethereum has been losing just slightly for the past few days in here against Bitcoin. But in terms of relative strength, but it still has good relative strength, but a little bit lost of momentum. And right now, it's kind of turning back up higher here, and we'll see if it's going to push back. So, it's something to definitely watch on a relative comparison basis. In here, you can see how for the past 10 years, I presented this a couple of weeks ago as well. So if you're new, this is the performance of Ethereum versus Bitcoin for the past 10 years, and Bitcoin leads in here with 24,000% versus 12,000% in Ethereum. And if I go for the past 5 years, Ethereum, it's kind of outperforming, at least, lately. They've been pretty tied up here, but with the latest move and the breakout in here, Ethereum caught a lot of ground. And let's see here for the past year as well. You can see how Ethereum, it's up 700% for the past year, and this is 288. And let's just go to the last month and see how this looks. Let me just move the chart key. Right here, Ethereum up 40%, Bitcoin up 2.88%. So you can see that on the relative strength graphs as well. All right, so guys, listen, I'll leave it at that, and I thank you everybody for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up button. Share this video so more people can see us and learn about Elliott Wave, the way we look at the markets, the structures. Come and visit us into the Pro Room. We talk about this every single day. We cover stocks, we cover crypto, we cover forex. It's a lot of information out there about what you like, and we take a look at also the altcoins as well. And in my daily videos, I talked about them and what I prefer and what I'm in and what I'm buying, what I'm selling. And, the guys that are in the room have access to that all the time. We also have a 7-hour course if you want to learn Elliott Wave and get good at the structures and, ask questions in the room about it and all that. Feel free to give it a try. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.